Hey guys, welcome to my Ocean One channel. I'm doing this review, you might say a rebuttal if you will, over Marques Brownlee review that he did over the Fisker Ocean. And I'm just, I think Marques is a good guy. I don't think he was doing anything nefarious, but I don't think he was being fair to Fisker and the Fisker Ocean owners that are out there. And if you'll give this video a fair shake, I think you'll understand why. So let's just start by asking ourselves, what if Marques Brownlee had driven an Ocean 5,400 miles like myself and had gone through several Ocean updates like myself and had not used a sensationalized title like he did, which I found surprising because he had so many positive things to say about the Fisker Ocean. I'm really surprised that he used such a title in his headline. I took my glasses off. I kept seeing a reflection there, and some of you might find that slightly annoying, so I went ahead and took those off. But let's get this out of the way. Where did Marques Brownlee, and from here on out, I think I'm just going to call him MK, where did he get his Fisker Ocean from? Well, he got it from a dealer in New Jersey, and they had an Ocean One. And apparently he had reached out to Fisker to try to get an Ocean to review. And basically he just got tired of waiting. So he started looking around for dealers to find one, and he found one in New Jersey. Now, the interesting thing here is the Ocean One that he used had been sitting on a lot. Now, this is according to his own podcast, okay? Had been sitting on the lot for roughly 90 days. So that's a real issue because, during that time, the Fisker Ocean would have had, several software updates. It's unclear to me which software version he was running on, but now I can tell from watching the videos that he was clearly running on an older version of software, probably software that was probably back, September, October, November, somewhere in that time frame, because I currently have 1.11 and I'm waiting on 2.0. And I have trips. When you go to the odometer, I have trips. When he went to the odometer, he did not have trips. So that clearly means that he would have had, at the very earliest, 1.10, which, would have been, pretty old software by now. Let's just talk software very quickly before I get into this too deep. I think we should look at this as software that the Ocean was released with was software, let's just call it base 1, okay? Because there were several versions of that, and I don't remember every version, but like 1.03, 1.05, 1.07, 1.09, 1.10, like I currently have 1.11, and then the next jump is 2.0. So basically Fisker was saying, hey, yeah, we're releasing the car, and it may have some quirks, but, and we know that, and we're going to update that as things go along. So most of the early adopters were willing to, we were willing to accept that. Talk to most Ocean owners, and we were like, yeah, we're probably beta testers, for the first version of software, but, we expect that to get better. And we knew that because, some features weren't active when the car was delivered, and we knew that. So I want to go ahead and get that out of the way. I want to give MK a fair shake here. While I don't think he was doing anything nefarious, I do think his title was extremely misleading. Now that's debatable from your perspective, but I think if you follow me through this video, I think by the time this video is over, you're going to realize that the title that he used was unfair because he had so many good things to say about the Ocean. I mean, he said a lot of good things about the Ocean. But where the Ocean fell short, in his opinion, was software. And, I would be the first to agree that the software, needed work, let's say. But he was not driving, which was not fair to his viewers. He was not driving what is out there. And what is out there is well beyond, he could say, well, yeah, it was at the lot. That's what's out there. But the Oceans, they get updated, and you're not going to get, updated while you're sitting at a dealership lot for 90 days. It's just not going to happen. So let's continue. Now, I'm going to point out several things that he got wrong on the ocean, and I'm going to point out several things that, from my opinion, were just flat out misses from not knowing the ocean. He pretty much starts the video by saying, he's driving an Ocean One, and that's a $75,000 vehicle. Well, first thing right there, that's a strike, because it's not a $75,000 vehicle. It's a $69,000 vehicle. All of the Ocean Ones were $69,000, and they came with everything. You name it, you wanted it, you got it. But the only thing you actually had to pay for was, extra things like a tow hitch, which I did, floor mats, which I did. Pretty much everything else was included. All the updates, all the features, all the data, and even 22-inch wheels. And it's kind of curious that the Ocean that he was driving had 20-inch wheels. Don't know why. Most people, that got Ocean Ones clearly chose the 22s over the 20s, because they look so much better, and it wasn't an extra cost. But he picks up an Ocean, that's been sitting on a lot for 90 days, and he says, I want to test what's out there. Well, therein lies the problem. That's not what's out there. It's not been updated. So, it's unfair to the viewers to use that. So, I consider that another strike. Maybe he simply didn't realize that. Not sure. But he clearly had an older version of software running in his car. I have quite a few notes in front of me here because I don't want to misquote him. I think he tried to do the best that he could with what he had to work with. And that's kind of the problem, though. He said so many positive things. So let's start looking at what were positives for the Ocean. These are his words. He says, he states that the fundamentals are very good and are actually fine. Says it's a very handsome car, and he's watched a lot of other videos with others reviewing the car that maybe had the car for a day or two. But wait a minute. He's watched others review the car. That's kind of interesting. I think that will come into play later as we go on through this video. I'll talk more about that, especially when he talks about the rotating screen. Okay, then he goes on to say, hey, it's got a big range. It's got 360 miles EPA. He says it looks good. Looks very good, actually. And says the materials are good. Says it's comfortable. It has a good amount of storage. It drives very well. It's got a pretty soft suspension and is more luxurious than the Model Y. That don't sound like the worst car ever, does it? These are driving features. These are features that people that like to drive cars enjoy. He says it's quiet, and it has features on the car. He's saying the Ocean has features that he's never seen on other cars, and he would like to see those features make their way to other cars. Again, doesn't sound like the worst car ever, or the worst car ever reviewed. Okay, that's the way he worded it. He starts by saying, but if the rest of the car is bad, it won't be seen as competition. Wait. He just said it's got a fantastic range. It looks good. Has good materials. It's comfortable. Got a lot of storage. Drives well. More luxurious than the best-selling Tesla Model Y. And it's quiet. It has unique features. And he would like to see other cars get those features because he finds those features exciting. Yet it's the worst car that he'd ever reviewed. Now, to me, that doesn't click very well, because all of the things that he mentioned are things that drivers would want in a driver's car to enjoy. So how do you give a car, the Ocean, that much praise and then go on to say that it's the worst car you ever reviewed? But let's be fair to his title, because he goes on to say, not in the way that you would expect. So, why use such a sensationalized title if the car is very good? The DNA of the car, the bones of the car. He's basically saying, hey, the bones are good. Very good, actually. I enjoyed driving it. I enjoyed looking at it. And we'll get into the other things that he said positive. So I really, really just had a problem with his title. I think his title was very misleading. Like the Ocean had praise in every category that you would look for. So I'm going to look down here because, he says a lot of things. He says, He gives it more praise. He likes the shape, he likes the light, he likes the grille, good looking logo. He likes the huge wheels, which oddly enough were 20-inch and not the ones that the Ocean comes standard with the 22. So if he liked the 20s, he would love the 22s because mine are awesome. You can choose the 20s on the Ocean, but you know there was no charge to go up to the 20s too. So you know most people did. And then he said that he saw no NACS, you know, North American Charging Standard that Tesla uses. Which is the Tesla plug. He said he doesn't see that. And there's no word of it yet. But that's not true. You know, that's another strike. Fisker has clearly come out and said that they were joining the NACS and that every Ocean would be able to charge from the Tesla network in the first quarter of 2025. So, you know, he really just didn't do much research here on the Fisker Ocean. To me, that was utterly obvious. He then goes on to say that it charges pretty quick. It charges up to 80%, roughly about 30 minutes. You know, and that's pretty good for such a large car and such a large battery. Compliments the blinkers. Yes, he says it has nice blinkers. Compliments the door handles that, you know, that they go in flush. Gives it a nice side profile. Then he talks about the highlights toward the back on the side, and he states that they come on if you have your blinker on or if your fog lights are on. Now that's not correct. They come on for the lights, but they don't come on for the fog lights. The fog lights come on the bottom rear of the vehicle. And again, you know, another miss, another strike, if you will. He talks about the rear tail lights, and he says that they look good. He says he's even a sucker for the rear tail lights, you know, which means that he likes them a lot. And he likes that the rear window drops down. It has a nice looking diffuser and a nice squat shape looking at it from the rear. Does any of this so far sound like the worst car ever reviewed? Something just doesn't seem to add up here. It's my daughter leaving in the Mazda CX-9. He says that he likes the spacious cargo. He says the cargo's nice. It's got plenty of space. The sub trunk, you know, the trunk below the trunk, he says that's totally acceptable according to him. He likes the solar panels on top of the roof that can give you, you know, 3 to 6 miles of range per day. And now he sits in the car to continue his review. He likes the driver's seat. He says it's really good. He likes what he sees when he first gets in it. He likes the big chunky steering wheel. He likes the screen behind the steering wheel, you know, to give you access to your information. And he likes the big screen in the middle. He's a fan. He says there's some plastics, you know, in odd places that he thinks don't belong there for a $70,000 vehicle, but I thought it was a $75,000 vehicle according to him earlier. So, you know, he does kind of bounce around on the prices, which I found kind of odd. Go on with more praise because these are his words, not mine. He gives it a thumbs up for the HVAC controls due to the physical buttons. He likes that. I was a big fan of that myself. He likes the 2 wireless chargers. Likes the 2 cup holders. You know, thumbs up. Good armrest. Thumbs up. Very comfortable seats. And he actually says that the back seats, as a matter of fact, he says that the back seats are the most comfortable seats he has ever sat in his experiences, you know, with cars in similar, you know, price, features, content, you know, segment, however you want to word that. So, you know, again, these are very high praise. In the back, he talks about the hideable USB-C ports, you know, that come out and pop right back up. They're kind of hidden. Nice screen for the HVAC controls for limo mode. Thumbs up, he likes that. Likes the cup holders back there. He says the back is just very nice. It's a very nice place to be. You know, same thing he says for the front. Very comfortable car. Now he states in his video, he said that's where the highlights end and where all the weird things come into play. Now, let's ask ourselves, had we stopped right there with this review, what would you think about the Ocean? You'd probably think it's pretty amazing, which it is. But let's continue. Let's see what he says. The very next thing he says is he's in this great back seat with this great view, you know, with these solar squares behind him, you know, and look back there. Yeah, I mean, it's a great view. I love that view. My daughters absolutely love it back there. You know, they think it's so futuristic. They find it so great. But he can't find a way to track what the solar panels are actually doing. You know, that's not new. We all knew that. And we knew that that was coming out with update 2.0, you know, which he clearly said that he wasn't willing to wait on. And I understand that. But I still think it's an unfair review because his car was clearly an older software, much older than what pretty much everybody else out there would have been driving at the time. So, you know, okay, we can't track the solar at the current moment, but, you know, I've watched videos already where people can track that. So, you know, that's already solved with software updates. Okay, I'm going to turn, it's getting a little toasty in here actually because I don't want to turn the fan up too high and drown out the noise. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to open California mode here in real time for you guys, so you guys can, you know, enjoy this. And maybe that'll cool the car off a little bit, let a little cool air come in here, and I'll continue the video. Oh yeah, nice breeze. Now, in his video, he, well, let me go back. When he did his video, how did I know that he was operating on older software? Well, for me, that was dirt simple. As soon as he went to the screen and he went to the charging and went to odometer, he didn't have trips. And since he didn't have trips, that instantly meant that it was much older than 1.11, at least one full OS version behind 1.11, which is what, you know, pretty much every Ocean owner would have been using because all of those Oceans would have been updated. So to me, it was very obvious that he was driving a car with older software, and that was clearly causing some of his issues. Heck, most of the issues that he speaks of, I've experienced, but they were, you know, they were so easy to solve. You know, you just do a soft reset, you may hit the button on the home screen, and he didn't know to do any of that. So in his defense, you know, I kind of feel bad for the guy because I think he was trying to do a good job, but he didn't know how to fix these issues, which, you know, for most Ocean owners were just so easy to fix. For example, his rear doggy windows didn't go down, and he couldn't figure out why. Well, almost certainly I had the same issue. Okay, mine did that once, and what did I do? I did a soft reset, and, you know, and then they did that. But all of that was before 1.11. So, you know, even though he says I want to review what's out there, he really was. And it was like reviewing maybe a phone that had been sitting in a box, you know, for 2 years. And you get it out and you're like, oh, this is what's out there. But no, that really was not what was out there because it had not been updated. So it simply wasn't fair. Okay, I'm going to look down here a little bit because I'm reading off his notes and the wind's blowing pretty hard, actually. He gives it another compliment. You know, he's full of compliments here. He really does give the Ocean a lot of compliments. It's just his headline was so sensationalized, I think it, you know, really hurt. He says it has great visibility around the car. He loves driving it on the highway. And then he says, as a bonus, it has a digital rear view mirror that he very much enjoyed. Then he gives it another compliment because he actually likes the sun visor. He actually likes it. He talks about it being able to fold and have two parts and being able to block as much sun as you want. But he didn't like the small vanity mirror. You know, okay, small vanity mirror. All right, I can live with that. Goes on and he talks about the taco tray. He didn't seem to be much of a fan of a taco tray, but oddly enough, I'm using the taco tray right now to record this. I have my phone set up. I have my Chromebook in front of me so I can look down at my notes, which are actually kind of hard to read with the glare from the sun here. But and then he goes over to the passenger side and he brings out that tray, and he's like, there's no glove box. The hilarious part was he was sitting on the glove box, literally sitting on it. All Ocean Ones have two glove boxes. And we can debate, you know, is that a glove box? Is it storage? But it's a place to put stuff. I would easily call it a glove box. It's under the seat. There's two of them, plenty big. And if you want to keep, you know, certain things there, then you could use the center console. There's two storage places under the screen. There's lots of place for storage in this Ocean. So yeah, it doesn't have a traditional glove box in the traditional place, but he did not mention that it had two, and I don't think he knew that when he did the review. I think that was pretty obvious. He didn't know that because most reviewers do not point that out. And I think he simply missed that. Now, you know, maybe he was a little embarrassed after he did the video. I have no idea, okay? I don't know the guy. He seems genuine, though. He seems like a nice guy from what I've watched from him. But the irony was he made a big deal out of the Ocean not having a glove box, and literally he was sitting on it. So I find that kind of comical. All of these are in order, so if you want to watch his video and maybe do a rebuttal to mine, you know, to see that if I'm doing this in the right order, I am, okay? I took good notes. He gives another compliment. He said the car drives very good. You know, he said the car actually drives very fine. Then he talks about the 3 driving modes. And he had an issue with the driving modes because he felt like there was only one way to change the driving modes. And I think I'm going to detach the phone right now and show you where the driving modes are. Can I flip this screen? No. Shoot. I'll have to stop this, okay? Okay, so he talks about being able to change the driving modes by pressing this button, and he says that that button is not marked and that's the only way to do it. Well, you know, I see a car, I see a road, I see 2 lines, I see a dotted line. Can you see that? Okay. Where else would you expect to change the driving modes? You're driving. You want to change the driving modes while you're driving. It makes perfect sense that you would change those on the steering wheel. I couldn't imagine doing it anywhere else. But wait, hadn't he watched other videos on how to change the driving modes? He said he'd watched other videos. He said he'd watched other reviews. He would have clearly known how to change the driving modes because pretty much every reviewer points that out, the 3 driving modes. Okay, now he goes back to the steering wheel, and he says that it's too easy to change the buttons on the steering wheel while you're holding the steering wheel. So I'm actually going to detach the video here, and we're going to walk through this very quickly. Okay, here's the steering wheel of the Ocean, and let me try to get a good view here. You clearly have hand grips down here, okay? Now I have to hold the phone, and he was holding it right here. Now, I guess if you hold right here, then you are going to press that button from time to time. The problem with holding here is there is nothing behind here to wrap your hand around, okay? There's no possible way to grip this. And, you know, some people might say, well, you're supposed to drive at 3 and 9. You know, I'm old school. I was taught 10 and 2. But if you put your hand up here, you can see right here, it's actually got a grip right here, okay? So for me, the Ocean is clearly designed to be gripped right here. Now, it might feel natural to drive with your hand there and rest it there, but I don't think the steering wheel is actually designed to put your hand here because you can't grip the steering wheel. So I actually keep it up here, and if you were to look at my other hand up here, right there, so if you were to look at that, you know, it's still almost 9 and 3, it really is, but you can grip the steering wheel. And if any of you have ever had to do an emergency maneuver while you're driving, you know for a fact that you want to be gripping the steering wheel. Here, you're going to slip. You're going to slip if you have to do an emergency maneuver. It's just not an effective way to hold the steering wheel. But if you're holding it up here, you've got a good strong grip on it. So that may be a personal preference, but I don't think that's anything to knock the Ocean on. To elaborate on that, there is a reason why steering wheels are round. Now, I know Tesla tried the yoke steering wheel, and boy, did they get a lot of pushback on that. You know, if you're going to drive 9 and 3, that is the perfect steering wheel for 9 and 3. But why don't people like 9 and 3? Because they don't keep their hands at 9 and 3. And, you know, like I said, there is a reason why a steering wheel is round. So, you know, we could debate this till the cows come home. But I like to grip the steering wheel because if I ever need an emergency maneuver, I can do it. My hand's not going to slip off the steering wheel. He talks about driving the Ocean and getting errors while he's driving the Ocean. I don't doubt for a second that he got these errors while he's driving the Ocean. I've gotten all kinds of errors while I'm driving the Ocean. Now, you have to put this in perspective. None of these errors are anything that causes the car to die, you know, to change out of its lane. Nothing is a safety issue. You know, it might lose blind spot monitoring for a minute. It might say front emergency braking is disabled for a minute. You know, you'll get those little pop-ups. But what was happening to him was he was running on a much older version of the software. The car had probably never been put in a deep sleep. It had probably never had a soft reset since it had been sitting on the lot. And so, you know, he was probably plagued with way more errors than the average driver would, because every Ocean owner, every Ocean One owner knows to do the soft reset. I mean, they know that. That's, it's just one of the things that we talk about. You do a soft reset, clears it. Oh, your camera's not on. Okay, press the home button, clears it. He simply didn't know these things. But he'd watched a lot of reviews, so, maybe he should have known that. Now, I really had a problem with him saying that he didn't know that the screen rotated. If you watch his video, and I encourage you to watch his video, when you watch his video, he is actually taking his hand and his knee and he's pushing the screen around manually. That almost made me mad. Actually, it did make me mad, if you want the truth. He says that the only way, and you can watch his video, he said that the only way he figured out that the screen rotated was by playing with it. And I don't believe that for a second. I simply don't. If you have watched any reviews about the Ocean, any professional reviews anyway, one of the first things that they talk about is, the rotating screen. It's in every video pretty much. If it's just a quick video to show features of the Ocean, it's one of the standout features of the Ocean. So if he'd watched anything about the Ocean, went to the website, read anything about it, watched reviews, how could he have possibly not known that the screen rotates? And he's trying to rotate it manually? Come on, Marquez. Come on, give me a break. I just don't believe that. Maybe you're telling the truth, but I don't see how. Now, let's get back to the rotating screen. When he did rotate the screen, why didn't he show the functions of the screen? He just says, you basically have a different view, And why didn't he show that it shows videos? You can go to YouTube, you can go to Amazon Prime. You've got a web browser in front of you, pretty cool stuff. Why didn't he show that? I don't know. Did he not know? Don't know. But he definitely should have known that the screen rotated. So why do I have such issues with his review? I have issues with his review because everything that a car driver would care about, he says the car's good. Drives good, handles good, feels good, comfortable, good materials. I mean, you name it, he gives it high praise. It looks good, it's an eye-turner. The problem he had with was software. But he was driving an Ocean that had been sitting on a lot for whatever reason. Okay, we could debate that. For 90 days. Now, that was according to their podcast. I had not watched their podcast until today. And when I watched that podcast, I decided, hey, I think I should do a rebuttal to this again. Now, I've already done one, but I wanted to do a better job when I did it this time. So, I don't think Marquez set out to give the Ocean a bad review. But I do think he misled a lot of people by testing a much older Ocean software-wise that had not been updated. And then he gave a very sensationalized headline, "It's the worst car I've ever reviewed." Because most people, even if they don't watch the video, they're going to read that title. And they're going to say, oh man, Marquez says that's the worst car he ever reviewed. But then, even in his video, he says, not for the reasons you may think. It drives good. It handles good, So if it's just software, why can't it simply be updated? And it has been. That's my whole point. The Ocean has been updated. I have 1.11 and I'm waiting on 2.0. I don't know when I get 2.0. I might get it this week. I might get it 2 weeks from now. But I love driving the Ocean. And I hope that you will watch his review. I hope you will watch my review. And I would encourage you to watch the reviews that I have done, because I've done several reviews. And even when problems have cropped up with my own car, I've done reviews on them. Okay? I have literally done reviews on them. I've got one on my YouTube channel where the regenerative braking went out. It just quit. I pulled over. I used the manual brakes. I pulled over. I got out. I did a deep sleep right there, right on the side of the road. Now, the car didn't quit, okay? Don't misunderstand me. But I got out. I did a deep sleep. Took about 10 minutes. I just wanted to see if it would fix it. I could have drove the car right on to Richmond, Kentucky, and it wouldn't have been a problem. But I wanted to see if it would fix it. I did a video over that. So my videos are honest. So if you want a person that has watched, I shouldn't say watched. If you want a person that has done reviews and kept it honest and truthful, I would encourage you to check out my channel. I've documented all of this over my 5,400 miles of driving. It is a fantastic machine, and I just don't think the media nor the press has given the Fisker Ocean a fair shake. So, if you like my content, I would encourage you to hit the like button. I would encourage you to subscribe. My main concern, my number one concern, the only reason I ever started this YouTube channel was because I wanted to get accurate information out for the Fisker brand and the Fisker product. So, hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's eye-opening, and I hope you'll give the Fisker Ocean a chance, just in case you had written it off by other reviews. Alright guys, thanks a lot, and until next time.